Good evening. Today I'm talking to Noelle Holten. Hi, Noelle. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about yourself.
Sure. My name is Noelle, and I am a senior probation officer. So I worked in the probation service for 18 years up until 2017 when I was offered a job at Bookouture to do their PR and social media management with their authors. And I also blog at Crime Book Junkies. So I review crime fiction novels, crime thrillers, anything to do with crime, really. And a blog, and also a crime writer. So I've written total. My debut was Dead Inside. It came out in May of 2019. Dead Wrong came out in March of last year. Dead Perfect came out in October of last year. And where did it go? My somewhere here. My next novel, which is called Dead Secret, is up for pre-order now, and it's out in. And the fifth book, I don't know, it's with my editor now, so not sure on the title, but I guarantee they'll be dead in it somewhere.
And did you always want to be a writer?
No, not exactly. I mean, I liked writing in school. I used to write short stories and uh, morbid teenaged angst poems. Um, I stopped. I've always been interested in crime and criminology in London. One of the modules I did was on fiction, and it was the lecturer was a probation officer, and I kind of thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting. So I kind of went down that route in terms of crime, and then um, probably around 2015 or so, I'd just been out of a really bad relationship, abusive relationship, and I got back into the book community. So I started festivals and meeting all these authors that I love, and stalk them a little bit, being overexcited about them. And someone asked me if I ever thought about writing a book, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I don't know if I could write a book." So I had attended a course, Crime and Publishment, in 2019, run by Graham Smith and Michael Malone. And I went there with my prologue for Dead Inside, which was just under 1,000 words. And I came away and I wrote the book. It was really encouraging. And that was in March of 2017. So by May of 2017, I'd finished the first draft of many of Dead Inside. And that was it. And then I kind of got this writing bug because I had so many different ideas in my head. And I thought, great, I got a publishing deal. And yeah, now the stories are just there. So it's fantastic.
And do you think your background in blogging and then actually working in a publisher's helped with your writing, or do you think it hindered in a way?
I think it's a little bit of both. The blogging definitely helped because I think in order to write crime fiction, you really have to know the genre you're writing in. And I've been reading crime fiction since, oh gosh, I could read. I started Nancy Drew books and went on to true crime, and then I started reading Patricia Cornwall and Kathy Reichs, and up until now, I'm like 49. 49. I had to think about that then. I'm 49 now. And, I've always read crime fiction. So I think the blogging and kind of looking at books and in not a critical sense, but more of, the plot, the characters, the emotions that are evoked really helped with my writing because I kind of got a grasp of, the kind of books that I like. Um, those are the type of books I wanted to write. I like short chapters. I like cliffhanger endings, but I like the main story wrapped up. So I kind of tried to do that with my books. And then obviously with publishing, working at Bookouture, I'm published by a different publisher, One More Chapter, HarperCollins, but working at Bookouture, I kind of got a feel of what commercial fiction is about and what it means to be an author that writes commercial fiction. But it also kind of hindered in a way because people then assume that I got a publishing deal because I worked for Bookouture, but that is absolutely not the case at all. You know, it's you kind of have to work hard for it, and nobody's kind of handed these deals. Oh, you, no matter, even if you knew friends in high places, they might get you a foot in the door, but they're not going to get you the publishing deal. Like an editor at Bookouture actually introduced me to my editor, which was at Killer Reads before they became One More Chapter. So I had that connection, but I had to pitch my book. I had to, deliver the manuscript. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a help and a hindrance at times.
And when you wrote your first book, were you planning on writing a series, or did that just happen?
I hoped to write a series. I kind of wanted, and I had a few ideas for a few books. Um, but my ideas of the books kind of differed. Like my editor, when I got a contract, wanted to go very much down the police procedural um, route, whereas my books, the idea I had in my head at first was very much, it is a series, but each book would be a different sort of character or agency. So we sort of compromised, and I still get to have all the characters and agencies involved, but the main character is the police officer, a DC Maggie Jameson. So we compromised, but I still got a little bit of my way. So I had the idea for about 3 or 4 books. Um, and I still have loads more ideas, but whether after book 5 there's another contract, we don't know yet. Fingers crossed.
And do you use your career in the probation service in your books, or would you rather forget it?
Oh, no, I loved probation, I really did, and I was kind of sad to leave. Although it's a stressful job, the only reason I left was because the government kind of screwed up the system over here and separated us into public and private sectors. And I ended up on the private sector, which meant that my job was basically managing 2 teams, one based in a police station, one based in the field. So I was spreading myself thin across 2 teams and glued to my desk, looking at targets and not working with the people the way I used to work with the people. So I was quite lucky that Bookouture came along and kind of offered me a job, because I used to do like reviews and blogging and blog tours for them. So I kind of formed that relationship with them anyways. So yeah, I was very lucky in that sense. But I do use, I mean, there's a character in my debut and throughout the series, who is a probation officer, and the probation service are incorporated throughout the series because the series takes a kind of multi-agency approach to solving crime. So although it's the police, they kind of tie into social work and social services or mental health or housing or probation, depending on the storyline itself. So I'm I'm glad I get to use it because I mean I loved probation, and I think actually probation is the only agency that works with an offender from the moment they're charged right throughout to the end of their sentence, whereas the other agencies like police and the courts kind of do their bit and it all gets handed back to probation. So yeah, I'm very pleased I get to use it in my series.
Yeah, I bet. Um, and what's the most interesting thing you found out when you've been doing research for your books?
Oh, there's loads. I'm I have probably quite a twisted mind, but I like to watch different videos and different kind of ways and methods to kill people. And for Dead Perfect, which just came out in October. The killer, and it's not a spoiler because the opening chapter talks about it. The killer lobotomizes or tries to lobotomize his victims. And so I watched quite a few videos on that. And then I got myself a watermelon and a little chisel and a hammer and just kind of tried seeing how hard or how easy it would be to do it. I mean, obviously a watermelon's a little different, but in order to get those feelings and kind of describe what the killer was doing, I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that. And I also did the same with in Dead Wrong. um, my killer dismembers their victims. And so I was kind of doing research on different ways to dismember, then found out that, loppers are really good, garden loppers are really good at cutting the skin and stuff. So got myself a big pair of loppers, went outside. I mean, there was no flesh or no animals or humans were harmed in the testing of my dismemberment, but I just wanted to get that feel of, what it would be like. So, yeah. I'm weird that way.
Yeah. I guess it adds authenticity to the book.
Yes, that's what it does. That's what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Slightly
And if the police
terrified now.
come, that's what I'm telling them.
No, your secret's safe. It's fine. This is a gun out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, which of your books would you most like to be a character in?
Um, I don't know. I quite like all of them. I mean, Dead Inside, one of the main characters, Lucy Sherwood, the probation officer, is quite a lot like me. So I used a lot of my experiences of domestic abuse and working as a probation officer within that story. So I think I'm kind of in my book anyways, in that respect. And as she appears in a lot of the other books, I've kind of made myself a character inadvertently throughout. But I would actually like to be also, I have a forensic criminologist, Dr. Kate Maloney, in it, and she does a lot of the assessments and profiles for the police and probation. And I love that area of criminology, and so I would like to be her. And she's really cool as well. She's a bit of a goth, and she doesn't take any crap. So yeah, I wouldn't mind being her either.
And if you were to give any of your characters a spin-off, who would you choose?
Oh, Kate for sure. Dr. Kate Maloney. Definitely. I'd love to do a whole series on, a profiler working the cases. But it would just be, I think, a lot harder because of the investigation that what she would be limited or he would be limited in what he could actually do in the story. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? That there could be an idea there.
And would you ever write in any other genre, or is it always going to be crime? Mm.
It'll always be crime because I love crime, although I'm quite a horror fan as well, so I wouldn't mind giving a go at horror, but, I'd have to read a lot more. I haven't read a lot of horror in a while, so I think I'd have to read a lot more because there's a knack to, writing a good horror. I would like a horror novel to scare the bejesus out of me. One that kind of makes me afraid to go upstairs in the dark, and I haven't come across one like that for a while. So, there's books that creep me out, but just one that makes me, shake and think, "Oh God, I don't even want to go to sleep now." I would love to write something like that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
And do you have any absolute no-go areas for what you write about?
Um, I personally don't because I worked in probation, so I came across a lot of the no-go areas that writers talk about. but I do know that editors and publishers uh, kind of they know their readers, they know their community, and I think if something was, I mean, personally, I don't kind of, explain or expand on things. A lot of stuff would be done off the page if I was to talk about a topic that I knew was kind of sensitive and might trigger people. They would know what the crime was, but unlike some authors, I wouldn't go into, all the gory details about it. Because I think with writing, part of the fun as a reader is to kind of, for me anyways, I like to visualize the stories as I'm going along. So if a writer can kind of give you the idea of what's going to happen and you use your own imagination to kind of fill in all those holes, I think that's a good way to do it rather than kind of spell it all out for them, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't say much about the crime readers either, does it? We can fill in those holes quite easily.
I I know, so sometimes it's a little too easy.
um, what's your favourite moment so far being an author?
Gosh, there's been so many, but I think I mean, obviously getting my publishing deal was a huge moment for me. But in 2019, I got to open up for Ian Rankin, who was being interviewed by Nicola Sturgeon at Bloody Scotland, and to a sold out audience. So, and I got to read the prologue from my debut. And I will never forget that moment because I mean, I was nervous as hell, but, Ian Rankin is, like, one of my favorite authors. I just worship the ground he walks on, and I've read every single Rebus book out there. So, yeah, that was, like I just couldn't believe it. If someone had asked me, "Who would you like to, be on stage with?" He would be, right up there, definitely, and I was told that I was gonna be on stage with him, I was like, "What? Oh my god." So, yeah, huge fangirl moment. So I think that was probably one of my highlights. I mean, there has been so many, but, yeah, I will never forget that.
Is it weird going to the festivals from being a blogger to now being an author? Do you get treated differently? I mean, I know it's quite a sort of level community anyway. Everyone seems to love everyone. So,
Weirdly, I kind of attend them as a reader, and I don't I mean, people came up to me going, "Oh my god, I've read your book, I loved it," and I got really embarrassed because I felt like, "Oh, I'm just here as a reader. I can't believe people are actually reading my books and recognizing me." So, it's lovely, and, if anybody ever saw me, I'm just a normal, crime fiction fan at these events. So, and I generally attend them with my reader's hat on, and, I still get excited seeing authors and stuff. So, if anybody ever saw me, I would hope they would just come up to me because I'm like one of the weirdest and most down to earth people. I'm not and I'm probably just as shy as other people. Like, it takes me a lot to talk to people. So, um, yeah, I don't I don't feel like I attend as an author. I just feel like I'm there as a reader, and I love it.
and you must know the circuit and most of the people from being around it for so long anyway. So it must feel like family in some ways.
Yeah, and to be fair, the crime fiction community, are, from readers and bloggers and authors are the most amazing people I have ever come across. Like, when my debut came out, the amount of support I had, when my book was published, I spent the whole day crying because I just couldn't believe, not like boohoo, I'm so sad tears, but like it was just so emotional because I couldn't believe the amount of support and people cheering me on. I was just like, wow, it was so overwhelming. And when you go out and meet them, like I was always my first festival was Harrogate, and I was so excited and so like, you know, scared at the same time. Like I saw all these authors in one place who I had, stalked online for years and years and years, bought and read all their books. And they were like, "Oh, hello, Noelle. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're talking to me." It was it was the most surreal experience ever. And I still get that way. Like when I see big the last year that we were allowed out, Harlan Coben was at Harrogate, and oh my God, I nearly died. I nearly died on the spot. And he was like, "Come over, have your picture taken." And I was like, who me? Yeah. Oh my God. And there is a picture of me with my face like it was the most bizarre face I could ever make. But I was just so happy to be beside him. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, it's incredible. They are an amazing group, and even like in the book groups and stuff. I'm not saying other readers of romance or anything aren't nice, but because I spend most of my time in the crime community, for the stuff that we read, we really are the nicest group you could ever come across.
Yeah, which is comforting, I think, considering what we
Yes,
read.
yes,
It'd be
true,
slightly
true.
worrying otherwise.
Yes, that's true.
Do you get a lot of feedback from your readers?
I get yes, I sometimes get feedback. And, in general, it's very positive. I do get some negative feedback, people not believing scenarios could happen. And I kind of say, well, I know they do because I worked in a police station. My friends are police officers. I was a probation officer. So when I say that happens, it does happen. And I get the whole idea that truth is stranger than fiction is absolutely true because I kind of think if I told half the stories about, the stuff that I came across in probation, people would just not believe it. They just would not believe it. So, but feedback, I always welcome feedback and I have an author page and I have my blog as well. And, I'm more than happy to chat with people because you kind of I kind of chat to people as a reader myself, and they tell me about, authors that they love, and I tell them about other authors, and they comment on my books, and yeah, it's fantastic. So I definitely welcome feedback. I don't think I've had as much as a lot of other people, which could be a good thing.
It's something that I've been trying to push on my page, actually. I think some people are scared to contact authors because they think they're busy. But actually, I've
I
been trying to
love
tell
it.
people,
Love it.
yeah, because you're all
Yeah.
insecure little nervous wrecks sitting there by yourself typing. So actually, when we tell
Yeah.
you that we like your books, it makes your day. So
It absolutely does, and there's nothing that puts a smile on my face when I read, like, a review or someone said they've read my book and they love it, and I don't know the person because when your friends read it, it's wonderful that they read it and they love it, but when you don't know the person, they're a complete stranger to you, and they're telling everybody on their Facebook page or in a group that they've come across this book and they love it. Oh my god, my heart just bursts, like, I will have the hugest smile on my face the whole day just thinking, "Someone loves my book. This is great," because, readers are the ones who go out and tell other people, and, I think the biggest way to sell books is through word of mouth. So, if one person likes your book and they tell one person and, so on and so on, that's how you get the sales. So, yes, please contact us, please. I'm lonely too. I live alone. I have no one but Zoom.
what's your biggest fear, and would you ever write about it?
Biggest fear. My biggest fear is, actually drowning. I have had a fear of drowning since I was a child, and also being hit by, um, you call them lorries over here, but back in Canada, we call them rigs, the big trucks. I've always had nightmares about, one of those, the ones with the flat front, just hitting me right in front of my house. Recurring dream of drowning and that. So those are the 2 things I probably fear the most. I still swim and I go on boats, but I have this fear of going on a cruise ship. Maybe Titanic had had ruined it for me, I don't know, but, um, I would like to write something, and I have an idea about drowning, so that might come up in future books. As for being hit by a rig, I don't know. I don't know what crime I could make out of that, but who knows? Maybe a horror novel,
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen
you know?
King wrote a story about
Mhm.
lorries, didn't he?
Yeah, and
Creepy.
that it came into that movie, Who Made Who?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, that still creeps me out actually. Oh.
Actually, maybe that's where my dreams came from, because I was really young when I watched that. Who knows? Like
Yeah. He's got a lot to answer for, that guy.
Oh, yeah. He also made me afraid of Saint Bernards with Cujo, but now I want a Saint Bernard, so who knows?
Drool. So much drool. Ugh.
Yes, I know, but they're so big and cute. Bar the drool.
Yeah. Yeah, my best friend at school had Saint Bernards. Oh, they were gorgeous, but yeah, ugh, drool.
Yeah, I've heard.
They just shake their head and it just goes everywhere. Oh.
Oh, no, okay, maybe not then. I don't know if I can be dealing with that. I might stick to labs then, Labradors.
Yeah, you're perfectly safe with them. They're gorgeous as well.
Yeah,
Anyway, we got sidetracked again.
sorry.
No, it's fine. Um, so, if you were to spend a day with any author, dead or alive, who would you spend the day with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Who would I spend the day with? Um, I'd probably like to spend the day with, uh, maybe someone like Kathy Reichs, in the hopes that I get to run into, you know, on the set of, oh, what's her show? Bones.
Bones,
I might
David
yeah,
Boreanaz. Totally with you
yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's the
so,
reason I'm
if
doing
I
a,
could
a
bump into
forensics.
yeah, yeah, and I love the whole, kind of, forensic anthropology and stuff like that, so, I think if it was someone who I could choose to spend a day with, I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, I like you thinking. Could I come, please? I'd love
Yeah.
to meet her and David Boreanaz. I'm there. I'll
Yes,
just sit quietly in the
absolutely,
corner. I'll be fine. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah, just like, "Hi."
yeah. I don't even think I'd be able to speak as well.
Yeah, that's true. I might have some of that Cujo drool happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's your most embarrassing story?
My most embarrassing story. I don't know if there's probably a lot from my high school days, but, um, like my school kilt tucked in my underwear kind of thing. But a crime fiction kind of related embarrassing moment was I was at Bloody Scotland. This was before I met Ian Rankin. I think it was my first time at Bloody Scotland, and or it might have been my second time. We were all going up towards the castle because they were doing the torchlight procession, and Ian Rankin was behind me. Um, and when I was taking pictures, I saw that he was behind me. So I started doing this, so that I could get pictures of him. And he just said, I know what you're doing. Why don't you just turn around and take a picture with me? And instead of like speaking to him or saying anything, I just went, "Woo," and ran. So that was probably one of my embarrassing moments because I just kind of like, you know, I mean, I didn't run far, don't get me wrong. We were going up a hill, but I just had to, I was like, I couldn't even say like anything. I just thought, oh my God, he spoke to me. So yeah, that was quite embarrassing. When I think about it, he probably thought, what an idiot. Why doesn't she just say hello? So yeah.
Did you remember it when you spoke to him later? Or you didn't mention it?
Oh, I remembered it, but I didn't bring it up. I thought, "No, don't say a word, don't say a word." I'm sure he already knew I stalked him on, Twitter and stuff by like, "Oh my god, I love your books." So, yeah, I'm sure, he remembered that, but hopefully he didn't remember. And I also actually now I'm really sounding like a stalker. I was in a cafe in the morning, and he was chatting with Val McDermott just across the table. And rather than go and say hello, I just sat there with my camera taking like 50 million pictures. I must have like, if anybody saw me, they would have thought, "Who is that weird girl sitting in the corner pointing her camera at these people?" And I mean, they were oblivious to me, but I just sat there like, "Oh my god, oh my god." 50 million shots of them just chatting, which was great to me, but to anybody else, they probably looked a bit odd.
Yeah. And the trouble is, people outside of the book community don't know who they are, really. We can walk past them and be like, oh my God. And they're like, who's that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, if you were to invite four famous people to a dinner party, who would you invite?
Um, have to be book people or anybody?
No, anybody, alive or dead, it's up to you.
Well, Booth, obviously, he'd be coming, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have him on the table. Um, and I'd probably invite Martina Cole, because she is hilarious. And she tells the best stories ever. And I just love her raspy voice. So I would love her to be there. So that's two. Who else would I invite? Um, hmm, I'd probably invite Will Dean because he is just an absolute nice guy. He's got great hair and he's so fun to chat to as well. So I'd like to have him there. And probably uh maybe maybe Angie Marsons, because I've never actually met her, even though I've worked with her for three years now, 4 years. I've never actually met her face to face. So I would love to finally meet her face to face. And she is hilarious as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Angie Marsons.
Yeah, she's one of the nicest people you'll ever come across, but she's also wacky, and I love that. She's just crazy. So it's fantastic. So yes, Angie Marsons as well.
Sounds like fun.
Mhm.
It's a David Borean sitting there, though, wondering who the hell all these other people are.
Well, he might know some of them through, Kathy Reichs. You never know.
Yeah. But I can see Angie Marsons and that just looking at him anyway as well, just enjoying the view.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, get off him, because I'm just gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Might have to go watch Bones after this.
I know, me too.
What superhero power would you choose if you could have one?
Oh gosh. I would love to either be invisible so I could just go and, eavesdrop on people or read people's minds. One of those two, for the same purpose. I mean, I love people watching, and sometimes you see people and they're, like I talk with my hands a lot too, but you can tell they're like having this intense conversation, and I would just love to kind of stroll up or kind of know exactly what they're thinking, or just that sort of thing fascinates me. So yes, either invisible or reading people's minds.
Awesome. When I was reading up about you, your blog was award winning, and
Mhm.
you've achieved a lot with that. So, what's your ultimate aim as an author? Is it to win awards or is it to get TV shows? What's your ultimate dream?
Gosh. Yeah, all of the above. I mean, I'd love to. I still consider myself very much a new author. Um, I mean, ideally, I would love loads of people to read my books and enjoy the series, but I would love, obviously, to see my series on TV, like a little Netflix series or something like that. And yeah, I'd love to win awards. I'd love to be, I see everybody talking about being, a New York Times bestseller or something like that. That would be exciting as well. But at the end of the day, I really enjoy writing the stories, and I do love that people are reading the stories and talking about them. So as long as I can keep doing that, I think that would keep me happy because I love my day job and I love the fact that I can still write in the evenings. So yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do me.
Awesome. So what are you working on now and what's coming next?
I'm working on absolutely nothing at the minute. I'm catching up on some reading and blogging because I handed in the fifth book of the series, which is the last in my contract. I handed that in January, so I'm waiting for the edits to come back on that. But because that's not out until probably October time, I probably won't get the edits for that until, gosh, July, August, maybe September, July, maybe. So I've got a while to wait, but I've been doing some research and taking some notes because I'm out of contract. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going, if the series will continue or not. So I had to write book 5 with a dual sort of ending, kind of like, okay, well, if the series continues, this is how it's going to end. But if the series doesn't continue, this is how it ends. So I have a standalone kind of psychological thriller idea that I'd like to write. And I'm reading a lot of psych thrillers. I'm reading The Rule by David Jackson now, and I'm reading a lot of standalone psych thrillers at the moment to kind of, because I think they're a lot harder than writing a series because you have to wrap everything up, done and dusted. That's it. So I'm trying to, I don't know if I can write one, but I'd like to have a go at doing that. But I also have an idea for another series, and I've got this wicked serial killer that I just want to write about. He, they'll either be in book 6 or of my series, or they'll be the first killer in the next new series I start writing on. So, but yeah, I'm doing a little research in between the blogging and reading at the minute. I'll be back writing in a couple of weeks though.
Do you find it hard to keep up with the blogging and the reading and the writing and your day job?
Yes, it can be really difficult to kind of juggle them all. I mean, I have to admit, since I started writing, my blog has taken a real hit. So I don't accept review requests anymore. People still send me books, and my friends who are authors, will ask me, will you read my book? And of course, I'm going to read it, but I'm quite lucky that they understand the pressure. So they don't say, well, I need it read in 2 weeks. I kind of say, I'll read it, but it might be, in April or whatever, because as a publicist for Bookouture, um, I also read the books that I'm publicizing, and that's not part of my job. So I do that in the evenings. So I'm reading those books as well. So it's just hard to keep up the balance with the blogging. Um, but in terms of the writing, I write every evening. I dedicate one hour. I get my 1,000 words done, and then I have the rest of the evening to do reading and research and stuff like that. And weekends I might do 2 hours or so. But yeah, so it's just remembering, okay, well, I'm working, 8, 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Then I'm gonna have a break. Then I'm gonna write. Then I'm gonna read for work. Then I'm gonna read for pleasure. Then I'm gonna review this book. And oh gosh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Might want to get some sleep, maybe. But it's fun. At least it's something I love. So, absolutely no complaints whatsoever from me.
And apart from all of that, do you have any other hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not reading, reviewing, writing?
Um, Not much else. I mean, I like playing, uh, some video games, but I haven't played any for a long time. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, the Elder Scrolls series, Skyrim, Morrowind, all those kinda things, so I like that kinda stuff. But, I don't have my PlayStation anymore, thank God, because otherwise I could be on that all day, which is not what I need at the moment. But, no, I mean, I really don't have much time for anything else, and, I like going out on walks, although I haven't done much with the pandemic on, but, I like doing that sort of thing or going, into town when we could and just sit at a coffee shop and people watch or meet up with friends, but yeah, everything kind of revolves around books or crime, I'm a big fan of true crime series and podcasts, so I like listening to them as well. I read true crime magazines as well, so yeah. I read a lot of crime, and that pretty much takes up my whole life, but I'm happy, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's worked out all right for you, I think. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah. No, no, not at all, not at all, and I mean, I can't wait until this whole pandemic thing is over and done with, and we can start going back to festivals and seeing people and, having a laugh and just, yeah, seeing people in person. I mean, Zoom is great and these online things are fantastic, but there's nothing better than being around, a bunch of like-minded people, having a drink, having a coffee, having a laugh, talking about books that we've read or, yeah, it's great. I miss that.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I don't have any more questions for you unless there's anything that you think I haven't asked you that you'd like to tell us.
No, I have to apologize. I ramble a lot as well. I know
Not at
people
all.
kind of say to me, "Oh, you're so confident," but I'm not, and I'm just like a blubbering, if you could my armpits are all sweaty from being nervous. So, but yeah, I think that was great. You did a great job. If anybody wants to chat with me or whatever, I've got various social media sites. I'm on all of them, so come and say hello. And if you ever see me out in public, if this ever is allowed again, um, please say hello. But yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me.
And thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.